Okay guys, so I am going to show you how to make the potato chip scarf. This is actually a needle knitted pattern that I found that just looked really super cute, and you can actually do it on the loom. So I'm almost done with this one that I'm working on here, and you can see all the nice ruffles, and it really works great if you have a yarn. It works pretty much great with any yarn, but I like the color that it gets when you're using a yarn that has ombre colors or that flow from one to the other. This particular one here, I used Lion Brand Scarfie, and the color is charcoal magenta, and it's actually a number 5 bulky weight. So it's got a really nice soft texture. If you're familiar with Scarfie, you'll know how soft it is. So this I'm going to put aside real quick. And on this one, actually, I'm using my oval loom because it's got a smaller gauge and it actually works really well with this yarn. But you could do it with number 4 worsted weight yarn. You have to use a smaller gauge, or you can even go thicker and do a super bulky number 6. So for this one to get started that I'm going to do just for the video, I am actually going to go with a little bit of a smaller gauge, and I'm going to use my sock loom because it's got a smaller gauge. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a variable of either doing it with a number 5 bulky, or this yarn that I'm using. I don't have the label, but it is a number 4 thinness, as you can see, and it's a blush pink color. And there you go. It's really cute. It's nice and soft. And so for this, what you're going to need is, if you're going to use a smaller gauge, use a smaller gauge loom. Like I said, I'm using the loops and thread sock loom. And then you want to have a way to mark it. You need at least 24 pegs across. I am using 24 on the oval loom as well. So here, going from here over, I do have 24, but you also want to have a way to mark it. So for me, I either use rubber bands or I use Sharpie. So for example, and you can always wipe the Sharpie away. On here, I have this marked where the last peg before, after where I have to stop, I have it marked just so I know I don't go too far. And then you can kind of see where I have the Sharpie on the points where we have to turn and go back, which I'll explain in a moment. Okay. So for this one here, because I already have, we'll count, that's my cat peepers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So there's actually 25 on this side, but we're only going to worry about 24. And how you're going to mark that is by going from the very last, the end pegs, and counting in. So we need to mark 5 coming in. So if you remember, this was 24, but we can use this as 24 if you like. And then we're going to go 5 in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to mark that. Whether you want to use rubber bands, whether you want to use stitch markers, however you want to use it. For me, Sharpie really doesn't bother me because I can always wash it away. And then you're going to go 2 more over from there. So this would be 5, this one would be 7, and then 2 more. Okay. And again, however you want to mark it, it's completely good with you. So this would be 24 on this side. And again, you're going to go 5 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to go over 2 more next to that and mark it somehow. However you want. I don't judge. And 2 more. Okay. So altogether, you should have 6 marks. All right. There you go. To cast on with this, I personally like the method I'm going to show you better because it's a cleaner cast on and it's not all bunched up or anything like that. So let me, sorry, I have to move the camera a little bit because I'm going to have to work around it. Let me show you how I do it. Now, some people can use a crochet hook to do this cast on I'm going to show you. But with me, it's pretty simple. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your yarn and you're going to make a slip knot. However you make yours, it's a simple slip knot. Okay, you want to make it a little bit bigger. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start at your first peg, what you call, your number 1. And you're going to slip both of those pieces through like this, and then hold the tail, and then just pull it through. Okay, and obviously you're going to tighten that up a little bit. Okay, then you're going to take it again and just go through the second one, and you're going to continue this all the way to the end. This makes a really nice clean cast on. Okay, all right, and you're just going to do this all the way to the very end. All right, so I'm going to pause here, go ahead and finish, get all the way to the end, and then come back. All right, so we're back, and you should just about be completely cast on. And for the last one, because remember, we're not using the last one on this side, we're going to be using the last one on this side. I stopped at the second to last one to show you guys this. What you're going to do to cast on this last one, you're simply going to place that loop right over the last peg and pull it tight, and you are completely casted on. So how I like to work this is, I know a lot of people would prefer doing a garter stitch. I find it's a little bit faster if I do a simple rib and an E-wrap. So what I do is when I go working left, I do a rib stitch or just a regular knit stitch. And then on my way back, I do an E-wrap. Okay, so what we're going to focus on right now is we're going to come out to this point, and then we're going to work back. And then we're going to come to the second, and then we're going to work all the way back. We're going to stop at the first, and then we're going to go all the way back, and then we'll go all the way across. And we basically repeat the same thing back and forth. And what that does, by doing that, that's what gives you this ruffled look here on the edges. Okay. And curling with this is actually a good thing. So don't think, oh my goodness, it's curling up and you need to do the garter stitch. No, that's why I kind of forewent and just used the knit stitches. It makes it a whole lot faster as well. Okay, so what we're going to do, for those who may not be familiar with a knit stitch, simple knit or a rib stitch, all you're doing is grabbing, and then you're pulling your working yarn in front and hopping that over. There you go. And you're going to do this all the way out to the furthest mark point that we put on here, which is this one right here. Okay. And sorry if this looks a little awkward. I have the camera between my arms while I'm doing this. So bear with me. There we go. And if you are using a wider gauge, this will actually go much quicker for you. I'm using a smaller one to show you that yes, it can be done with a small and with a larger one as well. Okay, so now that we're out at the first one that we marked, we're going to work our way back. And for this, like I said, I do an E-wrap. So I wrap it from behind. Come on. I should have grabbed my pointier, come on, hook. I didn't think about that. This one's not very pointy. It's a blunt tip. Wrap it. There you go. And you're just going to do that all the way back. Oops. Grab it. There we go. And I'm sorry if you hear my husband. He's in the room behind me playing video games. Okay, so I'm going to swap this out actually and grab the one that I'm working on currently, because I'm moving a bit faster with that one, and it'll be easier for you guys to see. Okay, and again, this one is a little bit of a thicker yarn. It's a 5 bulky weight, and it'll work a lot quicker. So with this one, I am actually over on this side now. So I'm going to be working out to my last stitch point, which is this one, going all the way back, coming to this one, going all the way back, coming to this one, and then going all the way back and all the way over. Okay, so with this direction, I E-wrap. Okay. And again, I'm sorry if it seems a little awkward. It's just because I have the stand holding my phone with the camera between my arms. And the reason why this is called the potato chip scarf is because they do work up pretty quickly. I probably would have had this done, this particular one I'm working on. I started earlier this week. I probably would have had it done sooner, but I've been really busy with work. Work. I think we should just be able to stay home and knit all day long. Who agrees with me? And now we're going to rib stitch or regular knit. So as soon as you E-wrap this last one, you're just immediately going to carry it over and knit this off, going all the way back. And again, if you're somebody who's more comfortable doing a garter stitch where it's a row of knitting across and then purling back, or however you want to do that, you're more than welcome to do that as well. I find this actually works up a lot quicker for me, but however you want to do it, it's fine either way. Okay, so now we're going to go out to the second marker right here. And again, however you want to mark your loom, it's completely up to you. There is no marker police or anything like that. I'm okay with the Sharpies because I know how to just clean it off, but it's up to you. All right, so there's my second one. And again, you're just going to come right over to the one next to it, and you're going to start working back with your simple rib stitch. And then turn and wrap. It's really easy. It's not complicated. I should have stopped and showed you guys before. You're going to come behind. You're going to E-wrap it. And you're going to knit it off. That's it. Okay, so that's what turn and wrap is. Now we're going to go to the very first one, which is this one here. So E-wrap. That's the stitch I'm doing in this direction. And rib stitch on the way back. And turn and wrap. There you go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to E-wrap all the way over to this one. This very first one on this side. Okay. And I'm going to actually have the pattern for this that I am inspired by doing this, because like I said, it is a needle knit pattern that I simply figured out how to do it on the loom, because there's so many patterns out there for needle knitting that are for free that people see that it's needle knit and they get immediately intimidated and go, no, never mind. I'll just find a simple loom knit. No, have fun. Try and find a way to make it happen on the loom. That's my motto. And all of my my videos that I make, I don't ever charge for patterns or anything like that. I look at it this way. There's a lot of great artists out there who are nice enough to have their knitted patterns for free. So I'm totally going to give them credit. But I'm going to show how it can be done on the loom to make it easier without charging. I just don't feel that that's right. So again, we're going to work all the way in this particular case, I like to E-wrap to the end. And this is the worst that you have to do, is just do this continuous back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it works up really quick. Like I said, I probably would have had this done much sooner, but with work and everything, I just haven't had the amount of time to put into it that I need to. Okay, so now that I'm all the way back at the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my rib stitch, just like we started with the pink one originally. And we're going to go out to this point right here. Okay, so you're going to knit that off, and just go straight up until you get to the very first one up here. All right, and now we're just going to go right to the one next to it, E-wrap, and knit it off. And do that until you get all the way to the end. And for this particular scarf that I'm working on, I used one, or I'm using, only one skein of the Scarfie. And it's coming out that it's going to be plenty long enough. That way you don't have to use a whole bunch more. So the same thing on the end here with the turn and wrap. Okay, you're just going to wrap it from behind, knit it off, and there you go. So now we're going to go to the second one over here. Okay, and we rib it. We get to the second one right there, and then we turn an E-wrap to the one next to it, to the right. E-wrap all the way back to the very first one over here. Okay. Turn and wrap. And now we are going to go to the third one, which is this one right here, 5N. Okay, so knit, 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 and that, and then we're just going to E-wrap to the right and go back to the very first one on the right. All right, and that's basically what you do through this whole thing. So for here, you would just E-wrap, or excuse me, rib stitch all the way over to the beginning. So we're here, we're going to rib all the way over to the beginning, and then you're going to work out to the furthest one, all the way back, out to the second furthest, all the way back, out to the first, all the way back. And then once you are done all three of those, you're going to go all the way back over here. And then you're going to knit all the way to the furthest, all the way back to the second, all the way back to the first, all the way back. And then you just keep going back and forth. And that's what gives you these curls and the twist and everything like that. See? So I will be back once I'm done with this and show you guys how to bind off, which is going to be super easy, and it's going to be a nice stretchy one. So there you go. I will see you soon. Okay, gang, so I have pretty much finished stitching this one off, or knitting this one off. And what you're going to do when you get to the end is you're going to need to leave a nice long tail, probably 1.5 to 2 lengths all the way around. And then you're going to do your bind off. So what I did is I got my long plastic needle. Okay. And if you guys are familiar with my dragon tail video, it is the same exact bind off or cast off as that one, because you want to keep it loose. You don't want it really tight or anything like that, because as you can see on this end where I started, super stretchy. Okay, not tight or anything like that, and it's really flowy. Okay, so to do these, I'm going to start all the way over here on this side. You're going to come around the back side of the first loop on your first one, okay? And you're going to go up through the second one. And make sure that's pretty snug. And then you're going to go down on the one that was behind it. Let me make sure I grab that. There you go, because you want it in front. All right, so you're going to skip this one, which is the first one that we had stitched. And you're going to go to this one next to it. You're going to go up, pull it all the way through, and that'll give you two, as you can see, two threads right there. Okay, and then on this one, you're going back one. You're going to go from the top down to the bottom. And you're just going to continue this all the way to the end. Okay, so keep going, get all the way to the end, and I'll see you guys back here. All right, so now that you are back with your bind off, you've got all these stitched off. You're at the very first one. So what I like to do is come up, and you're gonna just knot this off. And then what I do is I do it one more time just to be safe. Oops, there we go. After I take it off, I take it off as I pull my needle through. And then just get a nice little tug on that, slide the knot all the way down. And then you're going to, where's my hook? There it is. Just slip the rest of these off. Whoa, there we go. Again, sorry if I seem kind of wonky with this because I have the camera in between my arms. I will figure out another way to video these to where it's not so wonky. I should use my husband's GoPro and my son's helmet. That way you guys get a clean point of view. Alright, so just keep pulling these off until you get to the end. And again, you'll have a nice clean bind off. And again, like I was saying earlier, the choice is yours on the stitches that you can use with that, whether you want to use a garter and, you know, knit up and then purl back, or however you want to do it. So with the ends, you don't want to pull them super tight, but what I usually do is I just kind of tighten them up just a little bit if they look like they're a little too loose. And then just pull it like that. There you go. All right. And then what I do is I leave, I don't know, probably about 4 inches or so before I cut off. I try not to cut off right here at the very end. I like to stitch that in so that way it looks a lot cleaner. So what I do is I leave about 4 inches or so, and then I come back here, and what you could do is just thread in between your stitches. And then that way it doesn't look like such a blunt point where you actually knot it off. There you go. And then snip that. Pull that in. And there you go. There's your end, which, let's move this, matches your beginning. So there you go. there is the potato chip scarf. And for this one, like I said, I used one skein of the Lion Brand Scarfie. For this particular one, I used charcoal magenta, and it's a number 5 bulky, and it's a total of 312 yards or 285 meters. So I don't have the exact measurement, but I'm gonna say it's about 5.5 feet, maybe about 2 meters ish. So there you go. And don't forget, I always make my videos available in my group first, which you'll see a link to in the information below, along with the original pattern that I was inspired to make this video for, because it was initially done for needle knitting and not loom. And that's about it. So happy looming, everybody. Bye.